Good morning, everyone, and happy Saturday. How's everyone doing out there?
Great.
Good
morning.
All right. So we are still in March here, and we're going to get rolling right away on our program. But quick programming note, this is just what's called Voices of HealthPointe, and it is an opportunity for us like-minded people, clients, coaches that care to get up early and do roughly an hour segment where we just gather as a community. We do that, and then for those that want to catch it later, it is uploaded onto the Voices of HealthPointe YouTube channel, and you can catch it at your own leisure, we'll say. So we have a couple of docket items that we're going to tee up here, and then we just have fun and kind of go round robin. I'm going to get into a segment kind of pulling from some things that I've drawn on before from most notably Dr. Chris Palmer, and it's titled The Counterintuitive Science of Brain Power and Mental Health. So we're going to try to have some fun with that, and then we will have Carol and possibly Hank that's going to talk on the subject of magnesium and the importance of polyphenols in products and supplements and so forth. And then, of course, we're going to have plenty of round robin, I'm sure. So let me go ahead and get started with this topic is called, again, Counterintuitive Science of Brain Power and Mental Health. And this, as often is the case, kind of nerds out on some things. So I want to quickly just, give some citations of where this data is being pulled from, the science is coming from. It's a laundry list, I'll tell you. So it is from the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition, the Journal of Neuroscience, the Journal of Clinical Psychiatry, the Journal of Translational Psychiatry, the Journal of Child Psychology and Psychology and Psychiatry, the Journal of Neurochemistry, the Journal of Neurology, specifically the Framingham Heart Study, the Journal of Alzheimer's Disease, just some general polls from reviews from pretty recent, from 2010 and 2023, and then most notably from Dr. Chris Palmer's book, Brain Energy, which was released in 2022. And it's I've got it in Kindle form, I've got it in audiobook form, so I've got it all over the place. So let's get into this, because he kind of uses a fun metaphor that I remember when Emily and I were kind of going through this, we kind of keyed in on this particular part in his book. So I'll start by saying, Dr. Chris Palmer uses the braking system of a car, of course, as a metaphor to explain why more energy in the brain doesn't necessarily mean more hyperactivity or chaos, but rather better regulation and control, which is crucial for mental health. So let's look at breaking down that metaphor of the brain's braking system. So a common assumption is that more brain energy would lead to more hyperactivity, which might seem problematic in conditions like ADHD, bipolar disorder, or even schizophrenia. However, Dr. Palmer argues that the brain's ability to regulate itself requires energy, just like a car's braking system requires energy to function properly. So the brakes, that they require energy to work. In a vehicle, the braking system doesn't just slow things down passively, it requires power and energy to function. If a car loses hydraulic pressure, battery power, or engine function, the brakes may fail, causing the car to spiral out of control. Kind of seeing how this starts to connect the dots here. So the brain's regulation requires energy as well. In the brain, higher energy availability allows for better self-regulation, meaning the brain can slow down impulses, focus attention, and manage emotions properly. If the brain lacks energy due to mitochondrial dysfunction, metabolic inefficiencies, or nutrient deficiencies, its ability to, quote, apply the brakes on impulsivity, anxiety, or hyperactivity diminishes. This helps explain why boosting mitochondrial function, and remember, mitochondria, I've kind of geeked out on this in past episodes, where the mitochondria is those little organelles inside of our cells that take in nutrients and oxygen and produce what's called ATP, which is the energy currency that fuels all the processes in the body. So these are big deal. So this helps explain, again, why boosting mitochondrial function and metabolic health can improve disorders like ADHD, anxiety, and even schizophrenia, because it strengthens the brain's ability to regulate itself. So how does this relate to mental disorders? Let's take a look at ADHD. This is often thought of as an excess of energy, right? We think of that, ADHD, it's like a hyperactivity, but it's actually a lack of proper energy in key brain regions that regulate focus and impulse control. When the brain has sufficient energy, those areas function better, leading to improved attention and self-control. How about anxiety and depression? Instead of being purely neurotransmitter imbalances, Palmer argues they're metabolic disorders where the brain struggles to efficiently regulate mood due to low energy levels in key circuits. How about bipolar disorder and schizophrenia? Okay, I remember when I was reading this, I was like, whoa, it's one thing kind of to think of it in ADHD. It's another thing when he started talking about schizophrenia. So what about bipolar disorder and schizophrenia? These disorders may involve energy dysregulation in different brain areas, leading to episodes of mania, psychosis, or cognitive dysfunction. So what are the key takeaways here? Just like a car needs energy for its brakes to function, the brain needs energy to apply mental brakes, quote unquote, whether it's for controlling impulses, focusing, managing mood, or regulating thoughts. When brain energy is low, self-regulation fails, leading to symptoms like hyperactivity, mood instability, and cognitive impairments. So by optimizing brain energy metabolism through nutrition, exercise, sleep, and metabolic therapies, we can improve mitochondrial function, giving the brain the energy it needs to apply its brakes effectively and maintain mental stability. Okay, that's the end of that segment. I'm going to just touch on a couple of things because I know those of us in what we do, either as clients or as coaches, we often think, okay, well, what can I do to help with this? And particularly, is there any supplements that are particularly beneficial for the brain? And I know all of us are going immediately to omega-3s, right? So let me just hit on a couple of things on the omega-3s. So omega-3 fish oil plays a critical role in brain health, particularly due to its high content of two essential fatty acids. We all know what those are, right? DHA and EPA. So the key benefits of omega-3 fish oil for the brain health: it supports brain structure and cognitive function. 60% of the brain is made of fat, and DHA is the most abundant omega-3 in brain cell membranes. DHA helps maintain cell fluidity, allowing neurons to communicate effectively, which is essential for learning, memory, and focus. Higher DHA levels are linked to better cognitive performance and reduced risk of neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's. It also reduces brain inflammation and supports mental health. Chronic inflammation in the brain is linked to depression, anxiety, and neurodegenerative diseases. EPA has strong anti-inflammatory effects, helping to reduce oxidative stress and improve neurotransmitter function. Studies suggest omega-3s enhance serotonin and dopamine signaling, which can improve mood, reduce anxiety, and support emotional resilience. Okay, so there's more on omegas, but I'll stop with that and open it up for any context or commentary.
I think all of this is just so great, and it's reminds me, Erica, so much. I'm gonna get into a bad zone here. It reminds me so much of how you always talk about all roads lead back to HealthPointe. And it seems like everything we read, everything we study, all goes back to the things that we provide in our HealthPointe program, such as the omegas. And oftentimes I tell people one of the major benefits of omegas in a weight loss program is that it makes your cells permeable And so the toxins can flow out and the nutrients can flow in. And it also is a fat, which is really, really important. It prevents the sagging. There'll be some, if you're losing 100, 150 pounds, you're going to have excess skin, but it will really keep it to a minimal amount. And everything you say just reminds me of that. Another thing that came to my mind as you were saying that, and I got to stop here because I know I'm supposed to be stopping when I talk. The other thing is what Hank always talks about. And Hank, are you on the call? I mean, I know you're on the call, but can you?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, can you repeat about perfect water and the oxygen? Because the way you say it is so smart.
Oh, the requirement of the oxygen in our brain.
Yes.
Okay. Trying to remember the numbers exactly, but our brain body mass is about 2.5% of our body mass of our brain, but requires 25% of the oxygen in our system.
Wow.
Did you get that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brain weight is about 2.5%, but requires 25% of the oxygen in our system just to function properly.
Wow.
So thus, when you talk about perfect water with the oxygen in there, how important it is. I know Hank drinks, well, we both do drink at least, well, we probably 2 a day, just because of that oxygen, that need for oxygen.
Carol, can you
Yes.
stop walking, hon? I keep losing you.
Okay. Let me get in the shade here. Sorry.
Okay.
Multitasking. Okay, so what you were saying ties into the perfect water. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, go ahead.
And maybe for new people, a brief explanation of perfect water. What is it? It's an interesting term, but some people might not recognize what perfect water is referencing.
I'm sorry. You talking to me?
Yes, perfect water is a product that is available to us.
To our business. That's right.
Yeah.
Right here.
Oh, there we go. Carol's got a picture of it. There we go. A picture's worth 1,000 words. So go ahead and hold that up again, Carol, and say something so your camera comes on. Just say perfect water or something.
This is perfect water, and the 5 things on the back are purified. I think it's purified 15 different ways. So it's very, very heavily purified, remineralized. And this is one of the things that if you do distilled water or some of the purification systems, they take all the minerals out. And you sure don't want to do that, especially things like magnesium and what have you. It's ionized, MBO, and it's got electrolytes in it. So it's perfect because it has so much more than just water,
Excuse
but
me,
it is really water.
Carol, let me explain what MBO stands for.
Yes.
Molecularly bonded oxygen. They found a way to bond more oxygen to the oxygen already in the water.
Thank you, Hank. I knew you would come up with that because I know the benefits. Hank knows the details and all of the behind scenes. That's why he's so great as a partner. Then the electrolytes, I can speak of that because, when you sweat or you become imbalanced for various reasons, maybe you don't drink enough water or what have you, the electrolytes will bring that balance back in of what you need in your system and helps prevent cramping and what have you. There was another thing as we moved on, which you were talking about, Eric. I real quickly pulled a portion of an article. I couldn't get my printer to work this morning, so I'm going to go from a portion, but it's all about bones, muscle mass, and brain. And the more I'm reading from this particular doctor that I really like, she's really starting to bring the brain in on that and the importance of muscle tone and good, strong bones. but also how important it is for cognitive function. And we know that's a big problem with many people today for a lot of different reasons. I think it could be our food. It might be the things that are in our system, just our general lifestyle. We're doing life at the speed of sound. So, is very busy. And so what she was saying here, that the importance of weight bearing, which is what we do, our walking. And I would say to you, and we've often said this before, rather than a stroll, take a good power walk. I mean, get your heart rate up there. And you don't have to do that for long periods of time, but get it up there for a certain period anyway, rather than just take the dog for a walk type walk. And you'll just get so much greater benefits, not only for your bones, because it activates your bones to remodel, and that's what you want. You want out with the old and in with the new to prevent fractures and breakage and what have you. But then it says exercise builds muscle mass to stimulate bone formation. So they work together. It's so interesting how the body synergistically works together in all areas. Increased muscle mass increases capacity for bone formation via increased exertion on the bones. And this is why we talk about the exercise being walking. And you can do other things, but actually they really, really emphasize to do a good, strong walk. Exercise also protects cognitive function, improves cognitive function, supports a bone healthy lifestyle so that you can maintain physical functions to prevent falls and fractures. And what it says there is that if your brain is working properly, you are going to have the mental, cognitive features. You're going to have the energy. You're going to have the mental capacity to want to get out and exercise and want to get out and make good food choices. If we're working with a brain that's half-massed, our choices are going to be poor. Just like when we're real tired, we make poor choices. Well, it's the same thing with our brain. We make poor choices when our brain is not functioning properly. And it's interesting because Hank and I have our granddaughter and her husband and their two little kiddos coming, the babies. And so we've had to transform our house and what have you. So that was one thing in our lifestyle. There's probably 4 or 5 other things that were urgent in it. So it's been a real cadre of interesting things that have happened that could create anxiety, could create confusion, could create overpowering feeling. And I think that when you have control in your brain, this is so vital, because what I find myself is that when I step aside, I list these things, I look at them and I say, okay, what can I get done right away to get it out of my brain? And it keeps your brain organized. When you can do that with your daily tasks, whatever you might be going through, you are so much more effective, and you make so much more effective choices, and you sleep so much better, and you even exercise better, because your brain controls everything. And when it's happy and you are feeling semi in control, I mean, we never totally feel in control, but we can, even in our uncontrollability, sometimes we can feel in control. And when it all works together, so all of these things, the things that Eric talked about, the things that Hank talked about on with the oxygen and the perfect water and all of that, everything works together so beautifully. So when you said that about that article today, Eric, I thought, well, I'm going to at least take this little portion of the article that I have. So in the end, it says cognitive decline threatens your ability to make bone healthy choices and maintain bone building habits. Exercise protects your cognitive function as it builds muscle mass and strengthens bones. And so that ties right in with what you were talking about, Eric. So wanted to mention that real quick. And the other last thing that I did want to say, good morning. The last thing I did want to say is there's an article again that Hank gave me. Hank is he's the researcher. So if I ever come up with amazing things, it's because my husband gave them to me, most likely. But this was just a little quip, and it says store-bought vitamins are not phytoceuticals. Many of the phytoceuticals, that means plant phytoceuticals, phyto. Many of the supplements you find at your pharmacy, supermarkets, on the internet use the same man-made chemicals mixes Big Pharma uses. In fact, they are made by those same pharmaceutical companies. So these are not companies that own farms. These are companies that own labs. The food source for the nutrients in good supplements must be naturally grown. Well, hello, Nutrilite Farms, properly harvested, and never heat processed, which kills the potency of these nutrients. And again, all roads lead back to HealthPointe, to Nutrilite, all of our organic farms, certified organic farms, and even the partner farms that they use when they do not grow a specific ingredient. The partner farms go through the same stringent testing that our Nutrilite farms go through. So we have it all, guys. And so I'm going to turn it back over to you, Eric.
That's great, Carol and Hank. Yeah,
Yeah.
just this is taking on kind of just a strong messaging regarding, our brain. Of course, it's critical for our overall health is a optimally functioning brain. So any other
Eric?
thoughts? Yes.
Hi. Can I just, because I dug up this one other thing about perfect water and the oxygen, the importance of oxygen. A lot of times the reason elderly people have a tendency to fall, for some reason or another, but a lot of times they're not getting enough oxygen into the brain to keep it alive and active like it should be. And I just came up with, we all know who NSF is, correct?
Right.
NSF, and they put out a letter about perfect water. And I just read a couple lines from the letter, and then because I was sent there for certification, perfect water was. Okay, so here's what it says: this certification fulfills the necessary requisites for professional and amateur sports teams such as the NFL, MLB, and PGA. Perfect water is the only water to be certified and compliant with the NSF athlete banned substance program and authorized by NSF to bear the certified for sport mark. So that's NSF certification, and it's a full letter that they published. Now I can send it to you so you have a record of it.
Oh, that's great. That's really great. So the NSF, I'm trying to think of what is that
National
something.
Sanitation Foundation. It's right in Ann Arbor, Michigan.
That's right. That's right. Yes. So they're a independent third party
Certification, yeah.
Right. Right. And that's interesting. So that is their write-up on the perfect water product when they did their lab
Correct.
testing and certification.
Correct.
Very interesting. Wow. Wow. All right.
There's another thing in the cognitive brain, or I say controlling your brain, because sometimes it's really what it is. It's a mental control that we really do have the power. If we're bringing the right nutrients, we have the power to focus. And when we can focus, we can take our brain under control. And I think that anxiety and depression are such huge, huge things nowadays that people are fighting. And in particular, young people are fighting. And the reason for so much of this is because so much is thrown at us. And if we have the control in our brain to make it like a filing cabinet, that's an old term, isn't it? Or folders and digital folders, and put things in their place. Because sometimes you can go into a person's home and they have stuff all over the place. And I think, how can they even function with this confusion? And when there's confusion, what happens? People do nothing. Is that correct? When there's confusion, people do nothing. And so in that confusion, what we have to do is take control and say, okay, this is overwhelming me. That's the first thing we do, is we address, this is overwhelming me. So I'm going to put it down on paper. These 3 issues, 5 issues, whatever. these are the issues that I'm going to put down on paper, and then I'm going to attack those. See, now you're taking control. You're putting those things and you're putting them down on a spot that you can look at and take control over them. And this is why I so firmly believe in not having things strewn all over the place. Have order, because when there's order in your surroundings, in your environment, there's order in your brain. If you have mess all over the place, and including your office, and probably most importantly in your office, then you're going to have mess in your brain. And I think you have to compartmentalize where you're doing certain things and don't let them cross over the borders into other areas of your life or your home. And you can take control of that, maybe a little bit at a time. But the more you take control and look at that and say, I have control of this, these are the issues I'm dealing with. What can I get off the plate right now? Get it out. And what do I have to deal with in the next couple of days? But you can see it down on paper. I think that's very, very helpful for anxiety, depression, feeling overwhelmed, and everything else.
Yeah, it's interesting. You know, so much that could be, I'm sure, shared about that. Maybe some others have some comments. I know I was connecting with somebody recently that was, you know, just kind of speaking about maybe a racing mind and the effects on, you know, sleep and whatnot. And sometimes just keeping a notepad next to your bed, and, you know, if you have those thoughts, you know, you can jot them down on paper, you know, next to your bedside, and, you know, get those out of your head onto paper, and it can just, you know, your mind is trying to work on things, and if that's disrupting sleep, then you can get that out of your head onto paper. I know it's worked for me anytime I've had these issues where, you know, it helps to a certain degree. Ultimately, you have to get the task done, right? You need to address and handle whatever it is. It's just getting it on paper doesn't necessarily get it done. But initially, to get that all important rest, it's good to get it onto the paper. So we're touching on a number of things here as it relates to, you know, brain health, mental health. We're talking about everything from, you know, getting stuff written down on paper, getting, you know, the proper oxygenation, you know, into your body to help with that. We're talking about, you know, the works of the likes of Dr. Chris Palmer, and how actually, you know, somewhat paradoxically, or at least counterintuitively, the thought of actually having more energy, more mitochondrial energy, is actually necessary to reduce some of the mental difficulties like ADHD and other things that seem like those, if anything, you need to reduce the energy when it comes to that hyperactivity. But, you know, paradoxically, sometimes having more mitochondrial energy is what's needed. So lots of things here as we're kind of taking our run here this morning. By the way, guys, just a quick programming note. I know most that are in the room here heard this. We're going to do a little bit shorter segment here. So we're coming into, you know, just another little while here. A couple of us have some things on our agenda this morning, so we'll be not going the normal full hour, but opening it back up to anyone else that has any comments or questions or thoughts as it relates to this topic or any other topic, ideally HealthPointe related or health and wellness related. I'm sure lots of topics, right? But no talking about March Madness and all kinds of basketball stuff here this morning, unless it's health and wellness related.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Just a quick little comment. Before we started recording, I heard Dave kind of talking about his little mini waffle maker that he makes. And one quick little HealthPointe tip that I have, and this would be, you know, more for like the add more food days, but I really like getting the Nutrilite unflavored plant protein powder, and I add a couple scoops of that into either my pancakes or waffles, especially for my son. And it doesn't change the flavor. He gets the extra protein in there. It doesn't boost his blood sugar, and we're more satisfied and fulfilled throughout the day. I've even tried the chocolate protein powder and made some chocolate gluten-free pancakes. And instead of syrup, I will take some frozen mixed berries, like a half a cup of those, and microwave them, and they get warm and juicy, and I use that on top as the syrup. So just a quick little tip for making some healthy protein pancakes.
Wow. I love that. And is anybody else mouth watering, getting ready for, I think we all need
Absolutely. Eric, I do have a question. Do you have a specific pancake mix, or I mean, either mix or recipe that you use to make a pancake? Because there's so much stuff out there that's not good. I've like totally stayed away from pancakes, but I'm like, there must be something you're doing because you research everything and you make sure it's all healthy. So would there be a way that you could share that with Eric, and Eric could maybe put it on the Facebook page or something?
Yeah, I'll post it to the Facebook page. It's actually, I don't know if you guys know the actor Chris Hemsworth. He has a wonderful fitness app, and it includes meditation and yoga and recipes, healthy recipes. Most of the stuff is gluten-free, dairy-free, low carb. And so, or you can modify it to kind of fit the HealthPointe, requirements. But I use gluten-free flour, some baking powder, the chocolate protein powder. I think there's an egg in there, and then just a little bit of olive oil spray in the pan, but I'll definitely send it over. They also suggest, and I do this sometimes, like a dollop of non-fat Greek yogurt on top, and then I sprinkle a little cinnamon and then the heated frozen berries. It's so good.
Yeah, it sounds amazing. And obviously we're always looking for amazing, healthy changes and alternatives, and showing people that, again, HealthPointe can be fun and can be enjoyable. And you definitely just shared that. So thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I love these recipes, and this leads into Monday night. Eric is going to take the informative portion and talk about add more food or metabolic adjustment as the following week we're moving into that. So these kinds of suggestions are really good. And it reminds me of a couple of days ago, many of you know Al and Laurel. They were down, they're down in Florida for 2 months. And so we got a chance to get together with them, and they made a very, very good HealthPointe meal. But what's interesting is she took, I think it was a low-fat yogurt out of the refrigerator that was left actually by the people that own the home that they're renting. And she just put a little bit of mango twist tube in there, and she served it with strawberries and blackberries. Totally HealthPointe and totally, totally good. So sometimes when people like to dip stuff, their fruit into stuff, that is a really nice, light, and perfectly HealthPointe dip, especially if you're on the metabolic portion of your program where you're needing to add more protein in. And I thought what Erica said about the unflavored protein, there's a little secret there that you can sneak into a lot of foods for an extra serving of protein when you need that on the Add More Food days. So thank you, Erica, for that.
Yeah, that's great. And actually, I think Elle and or Laurel are on the walk and talk this morning. So I don't know. Let me take a look here. I don't know if they want to unmute and comment on their delicious sounding breakfast product there. But yep, they are on. So again, Elle and Laurel, if you're welcome to unmute, join in, or just stay incognito, that's fine. But yeah, I love these, very practical and pragmatic, recipes and steps that we can be taking here. One of the things that is so wonderful about eating like that is that I remember back in the day, we'll just say pre HealthPointe, we would often, Emily and I would have, big pancake breakfast often on Sunday morning, and the food coma that I would get early in the day as a result of that was unbelievable. And I mean, again, you do it all the time. It's just the way you live. You don't think of it. Everybody experiences it. Is kind of just what you're thinking. But usually that early part of the day, you're supposed to have energy, and it's not like you've got a full day to wear yourself out. And we'd have this big pancake, not the kind of pancakes that Erica is talking about, but rather kind of the kind that Kathy was referencing. There's a lot of kind of bad stuff out there, super high carbohydrate and stuff. And here, mid-morning, I'm just out like a trout, just food coma after breakfast. So thank you for that. And I think I see Elle or Laurel unmuted.
Yeah, I'm
here.
on here. Can you hear me?
We can, yeah.
Yeah.
Hey.
Well, my phone is buried in this clip-on magnet pouch on my shorts because I don't have any pockets in my shorts. And I thought, well, you start talking, and I thought, by the time I get that out of there, they'll be done. But I did get it out. So anyway, so yeah, that was dip was just, you can add, I find I can add, the twist tubes to almost anything to make it better. I mean, if you want it sweet.
Yeah.
What was your
Wow.
base meal, Laurel? Because I thought it was a beautiful HealthPointe meal.
Al's the chef, but we agree on stuff. So we had chicken breast. We just grilled it put it, cut up in small pieces and skewers, and grilled peppers, red and yellow peppers. And I think he had some onion in there too. And then I made some orzo rice, but that was for you guys, not for me. And then we had obviously a salad, and with some carrots and stuff in it, and then just then the blueberries or the blackberries and the strawberries, but they just looked kind of plain on that tray. So that's why I said, God, I'm not one to use fruit dip. They always serve it with fruit trays when you buy them, but it's so sugary. So that's why I thought. But yesterday I just used my regular non-fat strawberry yogurt that I use, and it was fine to dip them in too. Anyway, that's
Well,
it.
it was delicious.
Yeah.
Well, it was fun to
Gosh.
have dinner with my HealthPointe coach. That'll keep you
and then
honest, right?
we had excess and perfect water. So,
Oh,
zero
that's true.
calories. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
beautiful. None of us felt denied for sure.
All right, that's it. I'll mute myself again.
Well, thank you so much for popping on here, Laurel. I'm glad that we're all glad that you were able to get your phone free and be able to comment in there. Thank you so much for that. And this is turning out to be kind of the food show here this morning, which is pretty awesome. We are going to be coming to a wrap here in just a couple of minutes, but just a quick note that I'll reflect on. Carol mentioned that on Monday night, there is the 8 p.m., 30-minute, 8 p.m. to 8:30. We kind of call it lean team, but this is a 30-minute support Zoom for clients and coaches. There's typically a short educational segment and then a highlight or a spotlight section. That's generally the format there. So it's fun. That's Monday night. And for those that are particularly those that are active in this cohort of their 6-week cycle, as Carol mentioned, in the 6 weeks, we are coming in, wrapping up the what's called the menu plan days, those 4-week portion of the 6-week cycle. And those that are active in the 6-week cycle are going to be transitioning into their 5th week, which is a change. There's a change going into the 5th week and then wrapping up into the 6th week. So we're going to touch on that on Monday night. And so for those that are part of that cohort, certainly you'll want to tune in to that and so forth. So any other thoughts, comments?
I would just like to request that anybody that has information and the stuff that was shared today, if you could throw that on an email over to me, because I think that would be a really nice add-on with your program, Eric, is to give some of these pretty obvious ways that you can get additional protein in without even knowing it.
Yeah,
Whatever.
That's great. Yep. So will do. Well, guys, again, we're going to be a bit short here this morning, this Saturday morning, but thank you to everyone for getting up bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, and joining in live. We'll get this uploaded to the Voices of HealthPointe YouTube channel for those that want to listen to it asynchronous. But until next time, which will be next Saturday, same time, same Zoom link, we'll say for now, bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye,
Thank you.
everybody.
Safe travels, Eric.
Thanks again, Eric. Travel safely.
You bet.